Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more. Have you ever wondered what the mindset of a world title contending boxer is like? Dennis Hogan truly embodies a world champion mindset. His belief in himself is unlike anything I've witnessed before, and I was honestly left in awe at the level of commitment to the one percenters and the belief in himself that Dennis has. During this conversation, we talk about doing the one percenters which aren't sexy, teaching yourself what to think, living your life by your values, and not quitting when things don't go to plan. That is, to me, was one of the biggest learnings and lessons. Now, if you're wanting to take your life to the next level, be sure to head to themanthatcanproject.com and check out how I can be your coach, whether it's one-on-one or a coach in your pocket with the Breakthrough Online experience, or if you really want to hang out until April when our next intake of the Strong Men of Value Academy opens up, then be my guest. Jump on the waiting list there. I look forward to connecting with more of you in the future, and I know you are going to take away so much from this episode with Dennis. Literally, I have not stopped grinning from this conversation because his belief in self inspired me to want to hold myself to a whole new standard and achieve more from my life, because he is literally being an incredible role model for more people than he realizes. So enjoy the episode, and I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. The Man That Can Project podcast, a podcast empowering career-driven men to live more fulfilling lives. We are here to challenge your beliefs, redefine success, and talk about the important stuff in a relatable way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. My name's Lachlan Stuart. Let's get into it. Excited for this, man?
Yeah.
Dennis, welcome on the show, mate. Great to have you here. I've been trying to make this happen for a long time, and it's worked perfectly. You've got a new fight, a big fight coming up next Wednesday night. How are you feeling for it in the lead up to it?
Yeah, good. I mean, you got me at a good time. The hard work is done, and I'm starting to freshen up now and feel good. So happy to have a good chat with you. But I'm very excited about this fight also, yeah. Yeah,
so for those who aren't aware or haven't heard much or watched much of Dennis, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown, mate? We were just saying you've been a pro for 11 years as a pro boxer, which is a huge career. Most people don't even make pro, let alone maintain it and do what you've done for a long time. But I'm fortunate to be able to observe you, not even a lot of your training, but little bits and pieces of your strength and conditioning as you train out of the same gym as myself, and you've got Mucky leading your strength and conditioning there. But what I've seen with how you show up and you do the 1%ers really well, and you're just so dedicated and focused, really inspires me. But it also shows me the level of commitment it takes to obviously be world class. So give it over to you to give everyone a bit of a rundown of who Dennis Hogan is.
Yeah, look, professional 29-4, 29 wins, 4 losses. My 4 losses have been in 3 world title fights and against the world number 1. I've had a few world title eliminator wins as well, and to get those world title fights, and I've won 6 continental titles, and pretty much I started here with the Queensland title, the Australian Championship, and then continental, and genuinely worked my way right up to my world title fights. So I'm very proud of that. There was no kind of shortcuts or anything like that, but I don't really believe in them anyway. But when you do it the right way, you don't ever get thrown in the deep end too fast, and I really didn't. I was really ready to get there when it was the World Championship fights, even though I don't have the strap yet. But it's all good. I've truly enjoyed my career. Looking back, there's been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of hard trying times, but the thing about boxing is there's massive highs and massive lows, and the lows are devastating and the highs are just phenomenal. So it's just one of those things where if you can just keep it in your mind, where you want to go and what you want to achieve, it tends to get you through those lower points. But I made a decision one day. I looked in the mirror and said I was going to be world champion, and so to come back to what you said about doing the 1%ers, and then I said, well, to achieve that, I have to. Every decision I make from now on is this going to get me to be a world champion or not? So anything that you would have seen me doing in the past, the 1%ers in every way and all the different aspects of being a professional is always, I'm doing it because I think that's the way to be world champion, and to not do it is making me go the other way towards being world champion. And once I adapted that mindset, it was easy to always make the right decision. And even if you don't know an answer about something, should I do that, should I not? Just sit back and think, is this what a world champion would do? Was this going to get me the world champion? And the answers come out of nowhere. It's an amazing thing. But I've adopted that mindset. I've got a great team around me, and I love being in Function Well where you are, where Mucky trains me, and out of Webstrong Gym as well. I love boxing out of there, and I have a great team around me, and I do truly believe that we'll get the strap in the next year.
Mate, 100% you will. I'm excited for you to have you back on once you probably just wear it on the way into the studio. But what was it like when you were looking at yourself in the mirror that day? Like, how did you know? Was it a gut feeling that you were going to be a world champion one day, or was it your work ethic or desire? Like, how did you know, and what helped you make that decision?
I mean, it actually came from something that was a very low point in my life. Was I have a tattoo here, my grandfather, and the last words he ever said to me was, "Give it everything you've got." And I had I was 2-0 with two knockouts, and I was getting ready for a big career. And my grandfather got sick, and I had to go home. When I went home, I sort of partied a bit. I didn't handle the emotions very well, and before I'd gone back, before he got sick and slipped into a coma, he had said to me on the phone, he'd realised one day I was drinking, which was a training night, and he just said to me, "Give up that drink and give it everything you've got." That's what he said to me. And so I was kind of thinking at the time, what's he saying that for, And then when he slipped into a coma and I went home, relatives were told to come back, and I was there and never got to properly talk to him again. I got to talk, but I came back to Australia, and then he slipped away, he died. And I went and had when I came back originally, I had to fight within like 2 weeks, and I went and had a draw against a guy I should have destroyed. And then when he slipped away, he felt those words that he said, "Give it everything you've got," just like echoed just through me. It was just the most surreal penny drop moment in my life. And so, I have a tattooed here. And then I just said, okay, well, what is it now I need to do? And I looked in the mirror and I said, from this moment on, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And that's the story. I've just done that for the last 11 years.
Love that you did do that, because I guess when you have moments like that of adversity or challenge or mourning, you can go one of two ways. You can go completely self-destructive, which could have been an option with drinking and potentially drugs and all of that sort of addiction and abuse, but you chose to use it as a massive driving force into the man that you've become today, and the boxer that you've become today. So I think that's hugely empowering for those out there as well who are listening. We always are going to have two options, and you got to go to the higher ground. And one thing you said before, it's like, if you don't know what that right question is or that next step is, you ask yourself, what would a world champion do, or what would whatever you want to become do? But going back to, making that decision that you wanted to be a world champion, did you start mapping out goals and all of that sort of stuff from that, or did you just sort of get in the ring and go harder?
Well, I mean, I set out a goal list, and I was actually more of affirmations, but I knew I wanted to be Australian champion, because in the gym inside, we had Jared Fletcher and that, and he was there, and there was also an Irish guy who came to Australia before, and he'd won the Australian national pro title, and I thought this is a good goal to go over there with. I am always very goal orientated. I might just mention I wanted to be Irish champion, and it took me 10 years to achieve that. I'd boxed for Ireland, at the age of 14. I'd made the Irish team. At
14?
Yeah, I'd made the Irish team, but I'd fought for Ireland. But I'd not won the Irish championship till I was 22. And it's just nuts, because I'd gone to tournaments, and I'd beaten Irish champions in tournaments, but something was happening to me when I went up there. And I got into the ring and fought those fights. I just didn't win. Like I could win the quarterfinals or whatever, but then I'd get into the next fight and I'd lose. And I think there was something going on for me mentally. I can remember I look back a couple of times, and I know I've self-sabotaged a few times. But the goal, I really wanted it so much, and I just chased it down until I eventually got there. And that's another funny story in itself. But I eventually just said to myself, this year there's no more trying, wanting to be Irish champion. This year I'm winning it, and I kept that energy about me, and I finally won it. But in terms of just that whole thing about me being goal orientated, I had to set out that goal to be Australian champion. And I followed that, and I got the Queensland Championship first. Actually, 2 of them at different weights, and then by the time I won the Australian Championship, I had sparred with some really good people, world champions, Gail, and I thought I could actually do this. Like, I could go all the way if I can spar well against world champions and stuff. I could do this. And then before I was even Australian champion, I was already eyeing up the world championship, and it just all comes from there. But yeah, it's all goal orientated. But I do remember this little affirmation list that when I looked in the mirror and I said that day, I said, right, what are all the things I want to be, and what's going to help me get there? And I wrote out I am, and I wrote then obviously the rest of it. And I had that like it was really in a bad state by the time I chucked it away and wrote a new one. But
you just held on to it for a long time.
Yeah, I just read it every day. But I just used to feel those feelings of what it would feel to me to be those things as I said them, and it happened quicker and quicker. And
so you didn't just read them; you made sure you felt.
I had to feel it. Yeah, I had to feel it, because there's days you don't feel like doing it, but you got to sit back, and if there's days that you really don't feel. You're not feeling those energy, you have to pull back into yourself, and you got to think and be grateful for things that went well that day and everything else. And before you know it, you've probably had a good day with a lot of wins, and then pick one of the things you're most grateful for, hold that in yourself for about 10-15 seconds, and then read your list, and then you've got the energy there. So
that's a cool little trick. I've never thought of it like that, because I definitely have days where I'm trying to read my affirmations and I'm flat or anything like that, and I just don't feel like doing it. So I'll half-assed read it.
Yeah,
but I've never thought about getting some gratitudes in there first to get the energy back. That's a cool insight. You're talking about self-sabotaging. What was that like for you when you were going for the championships or the titles, and what did that look like, and how did you then sort of overcome that, or how were you even aware of it? Because I see...
No, I wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
It was only through doing the work that I've done, and I realised that that like, obviously it was a self-worth thing, and because if you're willing to self-sabotage on your goals, there's something going on for you, and it was only when I did some seminars with MJB seminars. I've got a mentor called Mitch Bean. He's the main guy in MJB. That I did a seminar called Relationships in You.
Yep.
And it's all about going back and everything else, and equilibrating what happened in your past, the positives and the negatives, and all comes together, and it just blows your mind. And the feeling that you feel in your body when that light flips, and you get it, it's just like you're like a deer in the headlights, and that feeling that you get, you can't devolve from that feeling. I believe it's entropy.
How did you sort of get introduced to that though? Because I guess watching Australian sports, you see a lot of talented athletes who probably need to get introduced to that kind of work for their own mindsets and understanding where their self-worth and stuff is, but a lot of them maybe aren't open to it as such, so they go on these self-destructive runs for a bit. So what made you be open to that, and how was it introduced to you?
Well, what had happened was, obviously I'd done some public speaking, and I spoke about how it took me 10 years to win an Irish title and how I kept going, and I finally got there. And then once I won that, like I boxed against the Americans and everything. I beat the American Olympian representative. I'd done some good things, and I just, once I got over at that barrier at that point, I started to believe and stop self-sabotaging. But I'd gone my whole career, I think I was 25-0 or something like that, and then I had a world title fight out in Germany, and we'd gone out there and we were ready to go, and in 1 week out they postponed it, And I definitely know it was done. I definitely feel it was done on purpose because I was going so well.
Yep.
And they sort of do everything to kind of throw you off. And then we went back. I went back to Australia. But then at that point, I knew the fight was coming back up again at the end of the year. But I completely smashed myself and overtrained. I just wanted it so much.
Yep.
And there was definitely times within that I knew, Dennis, you should stop now. You're getting fatigued. You're overdoing it. But I kept going. And eventually when I went back out there, I was only a shadow of myself. And, I made weight badly and I did everything badly and I had been fatigued. And, fatigue isn't just in the body. Fatigue in the body is okay. You can overwork that. When you fatigue your mind, you probably need, for fighting, you need a month or two off to come back and start feeling good again. It's proper. I remember being on the phone to a close friend and I actually was sitting there. There was nearly tears in my eyes. I thought, I'm too tired to even lie down. My whole body and everything was shattered. So went out to Germany. I lost the fight about eight rounds to 4 and I remember saying, right, that was self-sabotage. I could have attacked that so much better. I'm 25-0 as a pro, 25-1 at that point.
Yep.
And I knew that that's not what you do. I smash because I wanted it, but I knew better than that. And I thought, am I self-sabotaging or what's going on? I probably would have heard stuff because I'm always looking for, cutting edge in mentality and stuff.
Yep. All
of a sudden, a friend that I have down the Gold Coast liked the video from MJB seminars, and there was a video called Bridge the Gap. Mitchell Bean was doing it from MJB seminars, and he sat there and he said about self-sabotage and self-worth and how it's all related and everything. I sat there and I watched this 45-minute video just glued
on the edge of your
It's
seat.
like he was talking to me, what I was doing throughout my lifetime. So I just went, right, okay, I've got to do this. I hooked in a coaching call. They told me what I sort of knew at that point and where it was stemming from, which kind of blew me away a little bit. I had no idea I was going to go down that route. But eventually, then within 2 months, I was sitting in a chair in Melbourne doing a seminar, and my life changed forever in that moment. So it was crazy. But then I went and we actually had a partnership. But I did the other 2 major seminars, and Mitch is still a mentor to me from this day. And that was 2016. It's now 2022. So.
Wow, that's unreal. So your first world title fight, when was that? Around
2015. Yeah. 2015.
So how many years had you been boxing until that point?
Professional, I started early 2011. So
yeah. So and then even before that, you'd had all those fights. I'm trying to win the Irish title and everything like that. So
so from the age competitively from 11, but going to the gym with my grandfather from the age of 5 or 6. I don't know life without boxing at all.
That's just the hunger and the determination and the grit to just continue showing up day in, day out to do that is incredible. And the hunger, obviously you set that goal and you made that decision and you have your granddad's words there driving you as well and your own reasons for wanting to be a world champion, which is extremely exciting. And as you said, it's coming. It's not far off, which is fucking exciting. And next week's a crack at getting back up there again for the world title shot as well. For your mindset, the champion mindset, to actually be looking not just at the physical, because I think as athletes it's very easy to look at just focusing on the physicality of things, not the mentality of things. But how much would you say mindset helps you in the ring as opposed to just skill and speed and strength and everything like that?
Yeah, look, I'm of the opinion that if you can see yourself as being something and you really genuinely do, I think life... as they say, life conspires to making that happen. Once I decided I was going to be the world champion, all of a sudden, I'm down sparring with Daniel Gill and I'm getting all this great sparring, and then Jeff Horn comes along and I'm sparring with him, for the best part of 8 years, and it's just I do believe that once you can get it right in your mind and you've got all that going, the rest of life just kind of follows with it, I believe. You sort of manifest a route to get there, and if you just keep showing up along the way, and it does, it sort of gives you little signs constantly that you're on track, and it certainly gives you signs when you're not on track, and the whole way through it, then I felt like I was on track to make this happen, and because I think there's a couple of things. Because it took me so long to be Irish champion, when I knew I was good enough to be it in my first year of boxing. Coupled with, when I went to school, I wasn't academic, and I had an issue with focusing on what, I was being sort of, when this class was going on, attention. I sort of started to give myself this, and this was self-done by me. I started to give myself the sort of self-worth that I wasn't good enough and that I wasn't as good as everyone else around me. And I think that genuinely did stem from school. It was no one's fault. You know, I don't even blame myself, but it was just what I was doing. I was saying everyone else would have a spelling test and I wouldn't even, everyone, teacher one day, this is a genuine memory. Everyone take out your spelling books. I was like, what's my spelling book? And I was in the day when she told people to, you know, because I didn't miss days genuinely. I never really was that sick as a kid. I was like, what's going on? And then everyone took down, everyone was doing the spelling test. And I was just sitting there looking around going, what is happening? You know, and I obviously wasn't listening, you know, and that's on me, you know, but all this was going on and I just genuinely really couldn't tune in for whatever reason, because nowadays I can do that. Especially in seminars, I'm glued to what's going on and self-development and all that stuff in boxing. Even now talking to you, you know, I'm fully clued into what's going on, but back then I just couldn't do that and I don't know why.
Do you feel it could be because you now understand how what you're, you know, the conversations you're engaged in or what you're learning can benefit your life and your performance as an athlete, as opposed to, I was very similar at school. I was learning mathematics and all of these things at school, and even languages, for example. I couldn't see, or it wasn't explained to me how it could help me in the future, so I didn't give a shit. If it wasn't sport or if it wasn't art even where you could, or, you know, woodwork where you could see something straight away. For me, learning Japanese, I was like, or French, I was like, and I ended up living in France. That would have been helpful had I stuck at it. But I think now I'm very similar to you. I'm so clued into, I love having conversations like this, reading, attending events and seminars or networking with like-minded people, because I'm hungry to see how I can learn and develop the skills that they have to improve my life or improve the impact that I can have. But if there's stuff that I don't feel is going to add value to my life or it's going to help me add value to other people, I just can't focus and I couldn't really give a shit about. That's what I always think about. And I think, you know, even with schooling today, one of my clients, his son's a super academic dude and he's got twins. His other son just doesn't really like school but loves YouTubing. I'm like, you can make a career out of YouTube now. Like maybe you should invest some time into teaching him how to YouTube and understand filming and everything like that. But it's an interesting time, and obviously focus and then ADHD and all this sort of stuff. It's overwhelming, but it's definitely very interesting. That's for sure.
Look, it is, and like it is very interesting. And I don't know if the language era back then, if I would have been diagnosed with something like that, I don't know. But one thing though that I did start to sort of get into my mind was that, you know, MJB and Mitch, you know, they show you how to get your values, you know, your top 3, but then your top 5. But Mitch says, if you live your life in accordance with your top 3 values, you know, you're going to be always on track. And once I realised that I have been doing that since I went pro, my whole life and my energy and myself and everything changed, my focus, everything. And I suppose that when we was in school, that wasn't hitting my values at all, like any of those things that was going on in school, or at least I couldn't attribute to what was going on to my values, you know. And I think that was the issue. But, you know, it was like, well, for me, when I was sitting there, it was like, you know, that saying that, you know, if a fish judges its ability, judges itself on the ability to climb a tree, it'll you know, it'll always,
exactly.
you know, and that's what was going on for me, you know. But when I look back, it's funny because then I'd feel that way about myself, but I'd go out and play football and be skinning people and, you know, playing football and all the accolades I would have got for all that Gaelic football I was good at as a kid as well, and boxing, but yet I chose my self-worth on that, and I don't know why I did that, but, you know, we do that as humans. So I think, you know, and that's what that was for sure. Yeah,
it definitely helps understanding what our values are, because it really, or for me, it made me feel comfortable being unique. And I think everyone's unique, but we feel like we need to follow where the masses of people are going, even if it doesn't feel aligned with what we're doing. It's like, you know, a lot of people like to work in a certain career or go to university, be lawyers and all that sort of stuff, which is fine if that's what you genuinely get up excited to do. But when I was trying to go down the university route, I hated it. I wasn't drawn to it at all. So it was a struggle. And then eventually I realized this is actually what I value and this is how I want to create my life. You know, they say you can earn a living or create a life. And I've been so focused on that. And I think you're doing the exact same thing. And obviously, you know, with your world champion mindset, you've managed to make a career out of it as well, which is fucking exciting. Like it's so exciting. But for yourself, like, you know, you had you did 2 world title fights in 1 year, right? In 2019.
2019.
How was it prepping for that? Because would you normally back up that quickly? Because I've noticed when people sort of get close to those and I'm a boxing novice here, so I can't talk in any of the technical stuff, but from a mindset perspective, I guess it'd be like going to the Olympics twice in 1 year. Like, generally you have a 4-year cycle to prep for that. But for boxing, how was that, I guess, on your mindset, your preparation, even the sacrifices, right? Because you've got a family as well. So how was it sort of managing all of that?
Yeah, look, I mean, in my first year as a pro, right, and this is an exception, I had 11 fights in my first year.
11?
Yeah.
1 a month?
Yeah, it was close. Unless it was 9 and 11 months. Yeah, I think it was 9 and 11 months I had. Yeah. And I just hit it hard, you know. But that's a bit unique because you just keep backing it up, and because, you know, you don't even need to train as much in between, and there's a whole science to it. But once I got up into the top 10, it was 2 fights a year, and World Championships 2 fights a year, and that's the way it is. But that fight it was April 2019 when I fought Munguia in Mexico. You know, we had 6.5 weeks notice for that fight.
And so what's the general, I guess, camp period?
12.
So you had half the amount of time to prep.
But I went hard and fast, and that's something that I'm good at. I'm good at, like I said before, with the Germany fight, and I just kept training hard and hard. If you give me a smaller amount of time, I'd be much better off getting a smaller amount of time to hit it, because I can just drive.
Yep.
You know, and we sort of did it this time too. 2nd of March, being usually fights don't happen until mid or end of March, but I was able to just hit this so hard and go for it. But anyway, back in 2019, we had that, and I remember I just trained so hard in that space of time that I remember thinking, like, I was just like, we get this fight over, and I'm looking forward to a big break. And I did have a big break. Went back to Ireland for like a month, and regardless, I still got back in and started training a bit after a couple of weeks, because I don't know, it's just something that's ingrained in me. But then we had the fight in Brooklyn, New York, in December for the middleweight world championship. And that was the biggest training camp I ever had in my life. So that was absolutely I'm nearly glad, looking back, that the pandemic kicked in after that, because I was I needed knee surgery. I had knee surgeries and all since then. Like, that 2019 year just ripped my meniscuses apart, and it really done me bad.
How was it boxing with the injuries and everything like that? Did that play on your mind, or?
Yeah, no, not really. No, it doesn't now. You know, meniscus, I had a neck surgery in 2013, and I've just had the 2 meniscus. Other than that, like, I genuinely am good and ready to go. But that 2019 year just really did smash me, like, mentally and physically, and you know, and then 2020, when I went to Vegas for a training camp to fight an eliminator with Julian Williams, and then 2 weeks after the fight, he got COVID. So I had to come back from Vegas, sit in hotel quarantine for 2 weeks, get out, see my family like the day after Christmas, which was fine. I got to go, you know, we still had Christmas dinner on that day, but and then after that, then we had, you know, the fight with Tim Tszyu, and 6 weeks out from that, I got a broken nose, and
I remember seeing you in the gym the day after. Yeah.
So, and word got around fast, but it was like, do we do it, do we not? But I had such, you know, looking back now, I definitely shouldn't have done it. But back then, I had such bad luck in terms of things that happened, and COVID, and, you know, and just everything happening the way it did. I was just so hungry to get back on and get back in line for a world championship that I did something I probably shouldn't have done, and that's fight that fight with a broken nose. But then, so after that, it was the best thing happened to me was I just said, you know what, I'm just pulling right back now again, and I reassessed, and I just said, I'm not even going to look about maintaining, you know, rankings and all this, because, you know, after that fight in 2019 with Munguia, like, I don't know if you were going to hit on it or not, but, you know, the whole world believed that I won that fight. I certainly did.
Yeah.
And
I watched it.
You know, but what that did to me was, rather than before believing I'd be world champion, that made me know what I can be again, and that I really have that in me. To perform like that against a dominant world champion in his own country, and that I was going to do it again. And then I got offered to step up in weight and fight a guy that was twice my, like, genuinely, like, you chat to Mucky on the night, it was like...
I remember watching it with a few other guys at Functionwell down at Brecky Creek, Yeah,
so it was like... and at the weigh-in, it wasn't even that much bigger than me. Like, he was taller, but, you know, we obviously were the same weight, but then he was able to blow out and his muscles were able to absorb a lot more water. And again, as I'm telling you this isn't for any other reason but the fact that, you know, there was lessons involved, and you know, and it's, for me, it was like, it's like, you know, it's, you know, when you I done public speaking, and I stood there and I talked about overcoming adversity and doing what you got to do and all of this, and, you know, I talked a big game and I believed it, and it's like as if the universe just turned around to me and said, okay, well, you've talked about it now prove it, you know. And throughout all of this stuff happening, you know, I've like, you know, there's a lot of people thinking, oh, you've probably come to the end of your career, and I know a lot of people out there right now believe that I'm over it, like that I've gone over my peak and I'm coming back down again. It's truly not how I feel, and I think my performance, and I know my performance next week is going to show that. But there's people right now that probably don't think that and think 37, he's not going to be able to do this. But I just genuinely went through the worst run of luck. But I've never given away the dream, and I've the lessons that I've learned from it, I've taken, and I've really applied. Like that time after that Germany fight and everything that happened there, you know, I've learned so much from all of that. I won't go into a fight injured now again, and I think the biggest thing that I'm focused on right now, and the last point about it all, is stop forcing, and just find alignment. And, you know, that's a meme, I think, but it really resonated with me when I seen it. I thought, what am I, like, after that one with Munguia and then forcing to get back up, and then I fought a guy heavier than me, and then I done this, and then I pushed with a broken nose, and, you know, leaving Australia in a pandemic, I was just forcing. There's nothing wrong with wanting to kick the door down, but I just said, you know what, by forcing, I'm throwing myself out of alignment, and I'm at the mercy of everybody and everything. Just pull back into myself, make sure I'm ready when it comes, be ready, you know, stick your nose out trying to find what's happening in your best fight and best opportunity to get back up there. But all of a sudden I go down, I took a fight with Tommy Brown. He's a former two-time world title challenger, and he won a World Youth Championship. Had a great fight against Tommy and win. Within a couple of weeks, I wasn't even making a plan. I was just back in my energy again. And then I get a phone call about this opportunity. So I'm like, you know, I gotta just stop forcing stuff and just be ready. Put all the hard work into being ready and being the best you can be, and let the universe do the rest of it. Like, let life just unfold as it should. And that's where I'm at right now.
Focusing on the process, not so much the outcome when it comes to. That's amazing. So for what I admire most, just even like you had the losses, right? And then as you said, I wasn't aware that people were saying you're over the hill, but I would imagine if I was in that position, I would struggle to deal with that head noise and be like, maybe I am too old. But I've also seen now I'm back in track and field, and most people are giving it away when I originally gave it away. But there's one guy who's competed at the Olympics this year at 34. I'm like, sweet, I still got 4 years. So he's proven. But then you look at like Kelly Slater, he won pipe the other day at 50. There's all these people proving, and, you know, if you actually look after your health and stay prepared, like, you can be successful for as long as you really want, which is what's been proven. But for yourself, like, with the naysayers saying, no, he's done, and, you know, you had a couple of losses, you've had a win recently, like, what kept you going? Like, did you ever have moments when you're like, I'm quitting?
No, look, I mean, for me, it's, I had moments where I asked myself, are you being selfish? You've got 2 kids. Sometimes you don't have the energy to play when you get home. You know, like, they jump up and run around. Ariel hit me. She'll go, let's play hide and seek. You go, I'll count. And then she'll start counting. You know, and my legs, just everything's after cooling down, and I try to stand up to walk off, and I'm feeling pain. And, you know, and I'm just thinking, you know, they probably, you know, it's probably good for them to have a dad right now that's just you know, but then I'm thinking, but I could be away for longer periods of time doing some of the things that I want to achieve after boxing anyway. So, but look, I've asked myself, am I being selfish? Am I doing whatever by pursuing the dream? And I just said, you know what, I want to make sure that if I give it away, I've exhausted all avenues. And right now I haven't done that. Right now, you know, I'm on track and you know, I've done everything else and I truly believe that I can come and have a good win and get that strap. But if I showed that I couldn't do that, if I couldn't get past this guy, I probably would hand it away, to be honest. Yep. And there's guys out there, I just met a guy literally just now picking up my meals from Wild Kitchen saying, I think it's a 50-50 fight. And inside I'm going, really? Like, I can't fathom that whatsoever. I think I absolutely destroyed this fella.
Oh, he was saying to you that he reckons it's a 50.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm thinking, and I'm like, well, I actually did say, really? And the guy said, yeah. He goes, you know, he's like, you fought much better guys and all, but and this is my perspective. And by the way, I like this guy. There's not, but in my perspective is, in his mind, he probably thinks I'm gone over the hill again. Yep. You know, and again, you know, shouldn't be putting perspectives, my perspective on other, but that's what I felt like, because, you know, if you look at, like, he's had 9 losses in the domestic level. Yeah. I've had 4 losses on the world stage, world champions and a world number 1. In terms of everything I know I can do, I can't see that or fathom it. But, you know, I'm willing to be humbled. If life tells me that I am over the hill, then it will play out. But that's certainly not how I'm feeling, you know? Yeah,
definitely. It keeps coming back to, for me, that just your positivity. Like, I've had countless times where I've walked into the restoration zone or the gym, and whenever I speak to you, you're sitting in the ice bath, cool as a cucumber. But every single thing you're talking about is positive. Like, I've never had a conversation with you, and even after talking after defeats or when you broke your nose, you were still like happy as Larry and positive. And I'm like, how does this dude not have a fucking bad moment? Like, is it perspective? Is it a choice that you do that? Like, I don't know. And
look, I feel like I catch my, like, let's just say, for example, I talked about 20, you know, like, when I went to Vegas that time, everyone was like, oh, you're the guy that got ripped off by Munguia. That's how I'm known in America from everyone that I met. Yep. Then, you know, I've had losses, and again, the whole thing with the broken, like, I hate talking about that because people would perceive that I'm having a whinge or making an excuse. Yep. But I don't talk about that very publicly. I just say that to people who I'm talking to. But in my mind, there's a positive like, in that I can come back and still be world champion. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, look at all this that's happened, and I'm still going to get it regardless. And I don't care what anyone's, you know, thinks about it or anything like that. I'm still going to work towards it, and I'm still going to get it. And right now, I'm just telling my story. But, you know, but there is a little part of me sometimes that I have to be very specific on how I explain that, because I don't want anyone to think I'm having a whinge. I'm not. I'm just basically saying, this is your movie right now. You know, this is what you'll probably see in a few years. If it's not, it doesn't matter. But, you know, I'm inspired about this motivating or inspiring other people, you know, because this is the sort of thing that, you know, inspires me. So,
mate, you got to be your own. In seeking the uncomfort zone is where the inspiring stuff happens. And as you were saying before, like, there's days where your daughter, Ariel, wants to play hide and seek and your legs are sore and you're like, maybe I should do it. But you're being the best possible role model by pursuing your dreams, because you see people all the time saying, pursue your dreams, but they're sitting on their ass at home. They gave up on their dream years ago, and here you are at 36, 37, still fucking doing it. And for me, even me, like, I'm 30 and I'm grinning ear to ear, just being like, I can't wait to watch the Netflix doco come out when it's your story being told. And you've overcome all of this adversity. You've had a rock solid mindset, been an incredible role model, still extremely humble. Like, I feel privileged to have you on the podcast here, but then you've just continued to beat down the door and your opportunities come and you've done it. And for me, like, you just lead the way in, obviously, one, you know what you want and you're hungry as to get it, no matter how many times you get knocked down, so you get up again and go harder. But you're also learning, like, you're reviewing what's worked well for you, what hasn't. Like, you know, that Germany fight, you learn a little bit about going into a fight with a broken nose and all of this experience, which makes you a more well-rounded fighter and more experienced fighter than someone who's younger and maybe a little bit faster, but you've got the experience that Others don't, because so many people go through life and they get knocked down, and there's two options: they can stay down or they can learn from that and be better. Yep. And you're just fucking walking that, walking the path for so many, and it's inspiring for me because once again, now hearing that people think you're over the hill, I'm like, fuck. Me even questioning that I'm over the hill in my chosen sport, what am I doing? Like, you just got to do those 1% as well, right? Look after your sleep, your nutrition, and everything else like that, so that you're exhausting every possible avenue to be the best.
Yep.
How do you see the fight going next week? Like, what does that look like for you?
For me, so I'll just tell you, it was after Christmas when the fight got done. It was like, southpaws are 1 in 10. It's 10% are lefties, I think, something to that degree. And to find a lefty straight after Christmas here in Australia, because, the things don't usually get kicking off again until coming close to February. It was like, who are we going to fight? Because my opponent's a southpaw. Who are we going to get? Next thing, Farish Chevalier jumps in. He's world number 6 as a light heavyweight.
Yep.
We get lots of rounds with him. We get another couple of southpaws around filling gaps. And then the number 2 light welterweight comes back from Miami, Liam Parrow, and helps me with 2 big spars as well. And I've just been sparring with the number 6 and the number 2 in the world, and I truly feel like, again, I just feel like everything's unfolding as it should, and sparring has gone very well. The game plan we want to execute has gone very well, and so that can only just boost your confidence. And I've been looking to keep the pace higher constantly, and my body's pulled up, my mind's pulled up really well from it. I think I'll get into this fight. Like, this guy is known as sort of like awkward and battle ready, right? And he is, but I just believe that I've got way too much for him. And that's why it's funny for me to hear that people could think this is a 50-50 fight. Yeah. But again, they don't know what kind of camp I'm after having. They don't know what you've just spoke about with me mentally, and it is what it is. But I genuinely think a very dominant display of boxing here. Yeah, definitely.
And what does it look like from now? So we're a week. What are we? Or just under a week, 6 days out, really. What does it look like for you now? The sparring's done and everything like that. What do the next 6 days look like?
So tomorrow I'll do 6 rounds of pads with Zach, and I'll do 2 in the bag and then 4 shadow and skip, and then and then Saturday I'll do explosive movements with Mucky that will, Mucky doesn't train me like a boxer for the most part. It's all general strength and just generally getting stronger and all those areas. And then it's only in the last while we get very specific on movements. But I love this part. I love getting stronger and then seeing what I can do. And so that's what we'll do on Saturday. We'll get in and we'll do those explosive movements with the med balls and with Torsionator and stuff like that, and get that going. And that'll be Saturday. Like, I've trained sometimes 4 times in a day if you include a walking session. Like, I can do my boxing, then I can do strength, then I can do cardio after that, and then I can go for a walk, and that's 4 sessions, and my whole day is consumed with boxing. And right now it's like 1 session a day. Like, after another, again, I finished my last hard training set yesterday, but like today I'm having a rest day. But come tomorrow and Saturday, like, I'll start getting like energy will start to come through me like an electric shock. So like, I'll have to get up and start walking around, and my body won't know itself. And that's the way you want to be coming into fight week. It's a really good thing, but it's truly is itchy knuckles. You know what I mean? it's a great process.
What's your walkout song?
I've changed it around. Up until the Germany fight, it used to be Shipping Up to Boston. You know, that one from The Departed? Which was quite good. People loved it. They didn't want me to give it away, but I changed it around a couple of times. But right now, I used Bad Moon Rising for the last fight, and I think I'll use it again for this one.
Yeah, epic. That's so
it's a great vibe.
What advice would you give to someone? Because I think a lot of what you've spoken about around like preparation, goal setting, just having a champion mindset and mentality can be put across any area of people's lives, whether it's wanting to be better at business, just a better bloke, creating a better lifestyle, father, athlete. A lot of the same principles are transferable. But what advice would you give to someone who is wanting to make a significant improvement in their life and be in that 1%, like where you're at now?
Yeah, I suppose you gotta figure it out. You gotta figure out what it is that they're looking to what it is exactly and why they want to do it. And really make sure, again, like, I'm massive on values, make sure it aligns with your value. and then figure out, how it all matches in. And once you do that, then it's not even a question, about dropping back or not doing it or failing in any way. Or if you fail, you can keep getting back. You need to make sure that you're that inspired about it at the start that it doesn't matter what happens, that even if you thought you were never going to achieve it, that you love the process anyway. You got to really fall in love with that idea and find whatever that is, really makes your heart beat. And then after that, it's non-negotiable. You can't not do it.
Man, I love your certainty. It gets me fucking pumped up. I got one last question for you, and then we'll let you go. But what's your definition of being a man? And I'll give you some context to this. The reason why I love asking people, and I don't ever warn people, is because everyone's definition is generally different. And for a lot of our audience, it's like 80% are blokes. And we have this stereotype of what it means to be a man. And going back to values, we don't all value the same stuff. Yep. So it's cool to hear what it means to other people, because there's someone out there who goes, fuck, Dennis was speaking to me right then, not what Lockie reckons a definition of a man is.
Okay, well, I mean, for me lately, I don't know how different it would have been, but for me, for me right now, it's providing for my family, and that's just the main thing for me. I love the fact it's on my. I love the fact that it's on my shoulders. That I've taken it. I know, Bradine and that would be all, but I love the responsibility of it. I love how it drives me. I love how it makes me a better person, and I believe that being a man is for me is taking that on, being the best person I can in the world, and just being a light, really, in terms of anybody that wants to be good, do good, and like the protectors of society. I believe, just in terms of everything. When I say that, I think of everything like family, and I think of older people or people in need, or we need to always be helping people and all that. And I think that's what it is for me. Yeah.
And you're definitely a man of your word. Like, once again, how I observe you when you walk into the gym, and everything that you do, you literally practice what you preach, and you live by the 1%ers. And for me, it's a privilege. And I think a lot of people who know you, it's a privilege to be around someone of your mindset, because once again, there's people who talk all the time but don't back it up with words. So the integrity that you uphold, for me, it's like, well, we talk about, for me, I think about different areas of my life and how I want to, who I respect, who has what, where I can sort of measure my standards with. And you would be that in doing the 1% as well, because it's always those 1%ers that help us get to where we want to get to. And so I want to thank you for that. I've never really said that, but it's people are watching, and I know obviously you know a lot of people are watching you because you're doing world title fights, but it's just, for me, you get to see how that happens, but just the consistency in your positive mindset and stuff. For me, it's like, well, yeah, we all have bad days. Stuff goes wrong. Adversity is part of life's not fucking fair. So I get to choose how I respond to it. I either, fall into the victim mindset and then let it spit me out the other side, or I take it for what it is, grab the lessons, and continue to run forward.
Yeah.
But mate, the fight's on next Wednesday, or for those, this is dropping on Monday, so it's 2 days away. It's on the 2nd. What time do you reckon you'll be on?
Anywhere from 8 to 9, I reckon, yeah. And then the fight will be, it's a 12 rounder, so another 45, 6, yeah.
Australian Eastern Standard Time. For those listening overseas, you'll be able to watch it on what channels are we on?
Well, it'll be on Fox Sports here, but if you're looking to live stream it, it will be on KO.
Yeah. Cool. I'll put all the links out there, as well as Dennis's profile, so you can wish him luck, jump on there and just spam his account with comments. But mate, I'm looking forward to seeing you get the win. Yeah, thank you. I'm really looking forward to putting on a big performance. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favourite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.